Anyone who's into the Three Kingdoms knows the name Huang Zhong. He's an absolute legend. But today, we're going to peel back the layers of myth and story to find the real man, the real warrior. All right, let's get into it.
So when you think of Huang Zhong, this is probably the image that pops into your head, right? The old general, gray-haired, but still on the front lines, fighting with the energy of a man half his age. It's this incredible picture of a warrior who just refuses to let time slow him down. And then, of course, there's the other part of the legend. His skill with the bow, the guy who never missed, the master archer. This is the hero we all know from the epic novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
But see, that's the key word right there, legend. So what if I told you that the most famous things we think we know about Huang Zhong, well, what if they never really happened at all?
You see, the character we all know and love was pretty much sculpted by that novel. His entire reputation is built on two super memorable, really dramatic moments that have defined him for centuries. The only problem, they have a pretty shaky foundation in actual history. And here they are. First, his legendary duel with Guan Yu, the literal god of war at Changsha, and second, his tragic, heroic death at the Battle of Yiling. These two stories are the absolute pillars of his myth, and yeah, they're completely made up.
So let's put the storybook down for a minute and check the actual historical records, because this is where it gets really, really interesting when you put what the novel says right next to what actually went down.
Okay, just look at this contrast. The novel gives us this incredible multi-day duel between two masters, full of honor and mutual respect. The historical record, it's almost comically boring. The guy in charge of the city just surrendered. No fight, no epic duel, no legendary archery shot. Huang Zhong basically just got a new boss.
And the story of his death is even more clear-cut. The novel gives him this amazing hero's end, charging into battle to prove he's still got it, only to be tragically struck down. But history has a major scheduling conflict. He died of natural causes in 220. The Battle of Yiling didn't even start until a year later. You can't die in a battle that hasn't happened yet.
So this begs the question, right? If the most famous stories about him are fiction, then why do we even remember him? Why is he considered one of the 5 Tiger Generals? What did he actually do to earn that legendary status?
Well, it turns out his real story is maybe even more impressive. It's just less about elegant, long-distance archery and a whole lot more about raw, unstoppable, overwhelming force. History doesn't remember him for his aim, it remembers him for his charge.
Yeah, the actual historical records describe him with 2 characters, Zhuangmeng. It translates to fierce and mighty. The historian Chen Shou even wrote that he was one of the claws and teeth of his lord, Liu Bei. Think about that. Not a graceful artist with a bow, but the weapons of a predator. His time serving Liu Bei was actually pretty short, but it was incredibly explosive. After he joined up around 209, he spent the next few years proving just how ferocious he was, always leading the charge, always the first one into the fight, and all of that built up to one single spectacular moment in the year 219.
This is it, the Battle of Mount Dingjun. This one battle is the real foundation of Huang Zhong's fame. Forget the fictional duels and the archery contests. This was his masterpiece.
And it was a brilliant tactical strike. It was a perfectly laid trap. First, a diversionary attack draws the enemy commander, the famous Xiahou Yuan, out of his main camp. He's lured into a vulnerable spot with just a small personal guard. And that's when the strategist Fa Jiang sees the opening and gives the signal. And at that exact moment, Huang Zhong is unleashed, leading a thunderous charge straight down the mountainside, with war drums so loud they said they shook the heavens.
So what was the result of that one charge? This is the whole point. In that single assault, Huang Zhong killed Xiahou Yuan, the #1 enemy commander on the entire front. This wasn't just winning a battle. It was a decapitation strike that completely shattered enemy morale and won Liu Bei the whole campaign.
Now, a victory that huge didn't just win a war. It launched Huang Zhong right to the very top of the military food chain. And, well, his sudden rise caused some serious drama.
For pulling off this incredible feat, Liu Bei promoted Huang Zhong to the rank of General of the Rear. This put him on the exact same level as his oldest, most trusted commanders, guys like Guan Yu. It was a promotion based purely on results.
And Guan Yu was absolutely furious. When the messenger told him the news, he famously blew up, refusing to accept a title that would make him an equal to, as he put it, an old soldier.
You have to understand Guan Yu's outrage was all about tradition. He had seniority, he'd been with Liu Bei from day one. Other top generals came from famous, prestigious families. Huang Zhong was a relative newcomer with no fancy pedigree. His promotion was a slap in the face to that old hierarchy. It was a total victory for Liu Bei's belief in merit over old-school snobbery.
Decades later, 40 years after he died, the court gave him a posthumous title. This was a single word meant to capture his entire legacy for all time. The word they chose was ganggang. It means unyielding, resolute, hard. That was the real Huang Zhong.
So when you boil it all down, the takeaway is pretty clear. The historical Huang Zhong wasn't the wise old archer from the story. He was something way fiercer, way more direct. He was a shock trooper, the unstoppable force his lord would unleash to smash the enemy to pieces. He was the unyielding claw of his king.
And that really leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? Huang Zhong's story got a rewrite to make it more romantic, more like a folk tale. It makes you wonder, how many other great figures from history do we only think we know, while their true, complicated selves are buried deep beneath a much more convenient myth?